Hey everyone, welcome to our breakout session. I hope you're having an amazing Unite so far. Our session is around asset management, and we're going to discuss basically where's your assets and how do we kind of manage some of the chaos around managing them and making that simpler. So just to start with intros, my name is Brian McGovern. I'm the product lead for Asset Manager in Unity Cloud. Been with Unity just over 3 years. Within that time, got to work with both internal content creators and external artists and studios, just understanding some of the challenges. And there's various ones around asset management. And once we understood those challenges, both internally and externally, we've been working with an amazing development team to build out a solution that addresses some of them. And we're really excited to show you that solution today. Adrienne?
Hi, yeah, I'm Adrienne. I'm a product manager at Unity working with Brian. My background is in digital twins and building real-time 3D apps, and now I'm focused on making it as easy as possible for you to integrate with the asset manager, so my focus is on integrations. Over to you, Brian.
Cool. So a brief agenda for what we're going to discuss. So we'll start with an intro of the actual product, just at a really high level. We're going to actually meet Asset Manager. We're going to look at some of the challenges in asset management. We're going to look at our solution, a demo of it, our roadmap, and then finally some questions at the end if we have any. Okay? So what is Asset Manager? You might have seen it in the keynote. It was briefly mentioned. But Asset Manager is a digital asset management solution. It's focused on streamlining both game development and asset development with a real creator-first focus. We're integrated with Unity Cloud and Editor, and we're accessible to all Unity users. So after today, if you log into unity.com and look up Asset Manager, it will be available to all Unity users. Okay? So why asset management? So we spoke to over 300 Unity creators around asset management challenges and what they're facing on a day-to-day basis. And to be honest, it was vast. How people are managing assets from individuals to AAA studios, and even within those organizations, is all very different. From team to team, we've seen how people are managing assets in all weird and wonderful ways, and we're trying to bring that together in a kind of a more cohesive, very much focused on flexible way of managing your assets. So just looking into some of the quotes we heard, and these are mainly pulled from game studios. I have silos of content across my org and have no idea who can use what, where, when, is one. The other one, which is actually my personal favorite, is I can see every step of pizza delivery, but I have no clue where my assets are. So very clearly, it's a problem that's been solved in the pizza industry. I make my order, I see it on its way to me, and I can see the end result. It doesn't really exist in the asset side of things. And finally, I have manual bottlenecks in my pipeline that should be automated. You know, how do we bring in more and more automation into the asset development workflow? So when we had all these interviews and understood the challenges and kind of broke it down into 4 key areas. So asset discovery, you know, there's a challenge around how do we make assets super visible around my organization? You know, how do we support visual-based asset browsing and how artists want to interact and users want to interact with content? Transformations and interoperability. So there's a lot of challenges around multi-format interchange and the platforms that the assets are going to be delivered on. How do we address some of those transformation issues? Access control, who sees what, where, when. You know, it's great having an asset management system, but we have to have some controls around it as well. Who has access to the asset at the right time? Is it the whole organization, the whole studio? Is it my partners? Is it my outsourcers? Having some controls around access and still allowing for a lot of collaboration is a real challenge. The last one is asset lifecycle. How do we effectively track an asset across its development? An asset goes through lots of different phases in development, and how do we track and make sure that we know where that asset is across that development phase? That's a real challenge, and people are looking at it. They're addressing it in multiple different ways. Some are using Asana or Jira, different tools for tracking. But how do we bring these all together into a cohesive environment that supports like really understanding where an asset is in its development? So these are the challenges. And I see a couple of nodding heads there, which is really interesting and validating. We were also just over here, and we had a lot of kind of good, meaningful conversations post keynote. So these challenges seem to be resonating, and these are really where we're kind of focusing our solution. So delving into the solution a little bit more. So Unity Asset Management, it's a centralized asset hub that serves as a visual base for your assets. You can store your assets on Asset Manager, or you can integrate it with version control systems. We have an integration with Unity Version Control, for instance. So it's really a centralized point of your assets. We aim to streamline integrations. We have, Unity has a product called Pixies, which is a data engine. And we're actually using that for our transformations. So we're going to looking at how do we streamline these transformations, make it super easy for file format interchange to allow both use of assets for both technical and non-technical users. It's tailored to address the challenges of asset discovery, lifecycle, access control, and transformations. And it's available for everyone. So we want to make it not a technical solution. We want to support both technical and non-technical users. So we have a full open API, and we'll go into some of the features later, but we have a really intuitive UI for non-technical users as well. So going into our features, we just launched today, and this is what we're launching with. It's available on unity.com. But in terms of asset discovery, we're looking at centralized cloud storage, visual-based browsing, quick search and filtering capabilities, and AI auto-tagging for better discovery on ingestion. In terms of access control, we're built into Unity Cloud and dashboards, so we offer full org management as part of asset management. Projects and collections, you can structure your assets within projects, collections, and nested collections. And we also have full role-based access control at project level currently, but we are looking at building that down to an asset level access controls and roles. In terms of transformation and interoperability, we have assets actually discoverable in Editor. We have auto preview generation, so on ingestion, we automatically create previews of 3D files and thumbnails. And we have a full API, open API, and Python SDK. There is also some other SDKs that Adrian will talk about. But yeah, we're really open, and we really want to be an open platform for integration into all different tools. We'll have a lot of integrations bringing in Unity ecosystem, but we're really open, and we want to make the platform really extensible. In terms of asset lifecycle, we have really flexible custom metadata, so you'll be able to set a lot of different metadata field types within your asset. It's really it's scriptable, and it's really easy to set up an asset and make sure that the asset has the context that it means to you and your artist. And the last one is integration with Unity Version Control. So we're going to be initially just indexing or showing reference files from Unity Version Control, but we're going to build out that integration over time. So just in terms of the asset browsing in Editor and the integration with Unity Version Control, those are in closed beta at the moment, but they're available today to sign up to, and we'll show you how to sign up to them later on in the presentation. So next, we're actually going to dive into we've talked about a lot of pieces here, a lot of features and a lot of pieces. We're actually going to talk about how they actually come together in a solution. We're going to look at 2 use cases initially. We're going to look at a connected asset workflow, basically showing an asset from creation into delivery and reuse. So we also feel like once an asset is actually created, its life cycle doesn't end there. It should be made available to be reused in other projects, etc. So we're going to look at that use case, and then the other use case is the library of your assets. So we have lots of assets, not only in game development assets, but like finished projects, and how do we manage those assets across different projects and and making it really easy to kind of create a library and an archive of your assets. These are our two use cases. Adrian's going to bring us through the first one. Here you go.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian. Hi, so I'm thrilled to go over our understanding of an asset's lifecycle with you today, and then we'll see firsthand how the Unity ecosystem supports you throughout all of this journey. So it starts at a concept phase. Here, the technical art director starts drafting out their vision, setting out the foundation for what's to come. DCC, like a Blender, can be used to start sketching out those concepts. And there could also be a task created in a task management tool like Jira to start tracking the asset. Tools like collaborative review tools like SyncSketch can be used to start reviewing those concepts. Then we move on to creation. So that's when those concepts evolve into tangible assets. At this point, creativity evolves into reality with modeling, texturing, rigging, and animation. Multiple DCCs can be used at this point, and there could even be outsourcers that are hired to contribute to the effort. Our Unity Cloud Python SDK is there to support you while you seamlessly integrate the asset manager in your existing pipeline, enhancing it with flexibility and efficiency. Next, we move on to integration. That's when the assets really come into their own within the new title. Level design, environment building are key, and the asset manager serves as a vital link while these assets are being made game ready. So the DAM organizes the assets and make them easily available, streamlining the collaboration between artists and developers. The deploy phase, well, that's when the collaborative efforts all come to fruition. Releasing a title is a monumental step, and the asset manager is there to make sure that these assets are tracked and ready for prime time. In the reuse phase, well, Brian will touch on it more later, but in short, the game industry thrives on innovation and efficiency, and the asset manager's robust tagging and search functionality make sure that it's easy for you to find these assets and repurpose them in another project. Oh, I need to go back. Sorry. Okay, well, I'll just go. Here, imagine a technical art director in a small gaming studio called Seafaring Games. It's Andréane. She needs to organize her team's content for Cargo Captain. So she created a collection, and here, using the filters and the search functionality, she narrows down the list of assets she wants to add to this collection, and then she links them to the collection. So it's already more organized. Next on her to-do list, she just finished the art brief for a new asset, the ship asset, and she's ready to end it out to an artist. So she creates an asset. Here she's doing it using the front end, but she can also do it using the API. So she will add all the relevant links to this asset, making it easier for the artist to understand the requirements. So she adds the custom metadata fields that she already created for this org. So the board concept, the Jira task, and the art brief, and the SyncSketch review session. And she saves the asset. And that's when Keegan, the technical artist, comes in. So she sees the notification, and that there's a new asset on Cargo Captain. So she navigates to this asset. And there, she will look at all of the links that Andréane put on that asset and understand the requirements of this asset. And once she has a good understanding of the requirements, well, she starts crafting. Here we see Blender. Most likely, she's using multiple tools at this time. No problem. She can upload all of these files to Asset Manager, to the same asset that Andréane created, either using the front end or the API. But here, she'll be using the Asset Manager for Blender integration that is released by Unity, but that was customized by her team to fit her specific needs. So she navigates to it, and there she will find the asset that Andréane created, and she will add a few tags so that asset is easier to find in the future. She will also generate a thumbnail so that it's visually she can visually identify it on the Asset Manager. And she'll generate a turntable that she will upload using the API to the SyncSketch review session. That's also linked on the asset. now that this is done, Andréane gets a notification that her asset was updated on Asset Manager. So she navigates to the 3D embedded viewer, and from there she can preview the asset, and there's a few settings there. So she can turn on and off the wireframe, she can play around with the lighting settings. And overall it looks great, so Keegan did very well with the requirements. But she still has a few comments. So she will navigate back to the SingSketch review link. And in here, she'll be able to annotate the preview or the turntable, and she'll be able to leave comments. So in this case, she'd like the ship to be a little bit wider. She wants it to shine more. She definitely comes up with something to change or improve. So she leaves those comments, and she thinks this asset is ready to be integrated in the game, like to see it in context. So she asks Sam, the level artist, to integrate it in the game. So Sam opens up the editor, and using the Asset Manager for Unity integration, he finds the asset either like with the search or with the collection. He, with the one click of a button, clicks the import, and it's in his Unity project, drags and drops the ship on the scene, and once he's ready, he will check in those files into Unity version control, making Cargo Captain one step closer to production. So, so that's our workflow. Thank you so much, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this. As Brian mentioned, we're at the booth, so looking forward to meeting one-on-one. Over to you, Brian.
Thanks. Cool. So this is just showing a workflow, and this is really just the start. So this shows a workflow pulling from Blender to our Asset Manager. We've also seen people take our APIs and pull assets from Asset Manager into Blender as well, so just showing some interoperability there as well. Sorry, I just think. The other use case, as mentioned, is a kind of a library for your assets and maximizing the return of their investment over time. So assets take a lot of time to create. They're expensive, or you bought some, and you really want to make sure you have the best value out of that creation. So, you know, from talking to studios, some are using older assets for quick starts of new games and new concepts, or, you know, just want a really good understanding of what they've purchased, where and when, and making sure that the wider team has visibility of the assets available to use. So this is a real use case we think Asset Manager can sort and support. So we have visual-based browsing for asset discovery. We have projects and collections, which are shown here on the left. This is fully customizable. You can set up multiple projects or the collections within them, or nested collections. So you can set up the assets and structure your projects in a way that's meaningful to you and your studio. We have the ability of linking assets. So if I'm an artist and I've leveraged the ship asset, and I link that to another project, we have an option to either break that linkage or just copy it and upload it in a new project. That's fine. Or else we can link an asset from one project to another. What that means is that if this ship is updated over time, everything downstream will be updated as well. So if a different project needs the most up-to-date version, they will get it. We'll also be introducing versioning soon as well. So you'll be able to say, this is the static version, but continue to iterate and create new versions. But the static version or the labeled version is the only thing that everyone sees downstream. So we have a lot of flexibility there. And then customizable tags and metadata. So we want to make sure that the information that's applied with an asset is super meaningful, and we have a lot of options there as well. The other thing is project sharing. So as mentioned, we're part of dashboards, and you have full role-based access control. So we have currently access control at project level. So at a project, you can add a user as an org owner or a user of that org. And then within Asset Manager, you'll be able to actually set different roles. So initially, it's going to be contributor. So this person is part of this project. They can contribute to it. They can upload. They can edit. They can change. And they have full flexibility to do that. Or else consumer. So this person has access to a project or many projects. They can see the assets. They can interact with them. And they can download them. But that's it. And then the last one is a viewer. So a viewer can see the assets, see a limited amount of metadata, not all the metadata. They just see basic metadata, so maybe title, description, and maybe tags. And that's it. They only can view the asset, so they can't download it, etc. We're going to build this out over time. We do want to get a lot of feedback on this, but we feel like these are the kind of high-level access that we've heard we need to cover. But definitely, if there's other areas that we need to think about, please feed that feedback in. And then the user roles is what I touched on. So the contributor, consumer, and viewer. We also have, as being part of Unity Cloud, we also have a number of services available that link directly to Asset Manager. So things like identity, easily adding an identity service to your application, presence and annotations for collaboration, and 3D data streaming for large model streaming at runtime. The other thing is we have Reference Project that actually is an example project within Unity that brings in all these services that is built and connected with Asset Manager. And we're going to showcase how these work together now in this short little video. So that's just a showcase of some of the services coming together within Asset Manager and Unity Cloud overall. So we're just going to go into our roadmap now. What we talked about was the as-in state. It's really been focused on organization and managing assets, really foundational asset management features. Where we're going next is we want to kind of continue to build on our integrations and a connected ecosystem with Unity. So we're looking at integrating with the likes of SyncSketch, we continue to develop our editor integration and UVCS or Unity Version Control integration and iterate on them. We're looking at adding versioning and reviews, so the ability to version assets linearly and comment and review assets. We are looking at building out an asset dependency graph, so where the asset is being used downstream and also upstream. Building out more contextual search capabilities. On the metadata that's being showcased today, you'll actually be able to set organization templates or asset templates for metadata and metadata ingestion. We're going to keep on adding transformations. So the initial launch will be more focused on transformations for preview, but we are looking at like asset optimization, log generation, adding on more transformations over time. We also have the ability to build in asset workflows against your own transformations. So if you have a specific pipeline and specific transformations, you'll be able to take our API and map an asset against them. And then the other thing is deployments. Our initial deployment will be on Unity Cloud, but we are looking at supporting bring your own storage, so being able to map Asset Manager against your own storage solutions, and virtual private cloud support as well. Where we're going next is leveraging AI for search and better metadata extraction, analytics of your assets, so how they're being used across your organization to give you a better understanding of why an asset isn't being used, why is this asset doing really well. We're looking at integration with some of the generative tools. You may have seen Muse today, and we see that as a kind of a high tool for high creation of assets, and an asset manager complementing how you actually manage those assets as well. So how you create assets, but also variants of assets, and supporting some of the generative tools that Unity are developing. And last is we're going to be support a marketplace of third-party plugins and assets. And I will say assets is Asset Store as part of that, but basically having an ecosystem of assets and plugins to support your game development as well. This is what it looks like here on the right. We have the data. This is your assets, your metadata, supported by events and statuses, complemented with workflows and a marketplace. As mentioned, we've launched Asset Manager today. If you want to take a scan of the QR code on the right, it will bring you to our product page where you'll get lots of information, how to get started, and also bring you to Asset Manager. You will also be able to sign up to the two closed beta groups. So one's for Asset Manager for Unity version control, and the second one is Asset Manager for Editor. So you'll be able to sign up to those waiting lists as well. That's us for today. This is only the beginning. We're super interested in feedback. We're super excited of where we can go. We've already heard some really interesting use cases at the booth. So if you have any questions or feedback, it's super interesting. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending. Please exit this stage area as we prepare for the next session.